My coworker made my life miserable because I was the new girl. Her face was epic when the boss walked in and kissed me on the forehead. I asked my dad to let me start at the bottom. That was my idea, not his. My father, Sol, owns a regional plumbing supply company with 4 locations and about 90 employees. Built it from nothing over 25 years. I grew up watching him work and wanted to be part of it, but I didn't want to walk in as the boss's kid. I wanted to come through the regular door, learn every part of the operation, and earn whatever I got. He agreed on one condition. If anyone treated me badly, he had the right to step in. I told him to give me 6 months. I applied under my mother's maiden name. My last name is Kessler. I applied as April Vega. Got hired into the warehouse team at the flagship location. My job was inventory processing, order fulfillment, and receiving shipments. Basic work, hard work. I loved it. The first week was fine. My supervisor, Hal, was straightforward, showed me the systems, and answered my questions. The warehouse crew was friendly. Then I met Ariel. Ariel worked in operations coordination. She had been with the company for 7 years and made sure everyone knew it. She handled scheduling, vendor communication, and order tracking between the warehouse and front office. She was not my boss, but acted like she was everyone's. From my first interaction, she decided I was beneath her. She called me the new girl even after I introduced myself 3 times. She gave me tasks that were not my job and said they were mandatory for new hires. She had me reorganizing a storage closet for 2 days before Hal told me nobody had ever been asked to do that. When I finished a rush order ahead of schedule, Ariel sent the completion report to management under her own name. Hal caught it and corrected it quietly. She kept doing it. Every time I handled something efficiently, she would reply to management as if she had done the work herself. She told me once that most warehouse hires don't last 3 months, so I shouldn't get comfortable. Told another coworker I seemed like the type who got hired because of who I knew and not what I knew. Said it 10 feet from me in a voice she intended me to hear. By month 2, she was actively trying to make me fail. She changed a delivery schedule without telling me, and when the shipment arrived early and I was not prepared, she told Hal I dropped the ball. Hal checked the logs. She had not sent me any update. He believed me, but she didn't stop. The breaking point came end of month 3. Large order going to a new commercial client. I assembled it, checked every item, and staged it for pickup. Ariel went behind me and pulled 2 pallets off the shipment without telling anyone. When the client received the order short, she told the operations manager, Wick, that I had miscounted inventory. Wick called me into his office. Ariel was already there. She said she had been watching me make mistakes for weeks and didn't think I was cut out for the role. Recommended he let me go before I cost the company a client. I told Wick I staged the full order and it was complete when I signed off. Told him the pallet count at staging didn't match pickup and someone moved product after I finished. He looked into it. Hal had already noticed the discrepancy in loading logs. Timestamps showed 2 pallets were moved from staging to overflow storage 40 minutes after I signed off. The only person who accessed overflow during that window was Ariel. Wick pulled her back in. She denied it. Said the system must have logged wrong. Wick told her the system doesn't make that kind of error and this was not the first issue that circled back to her. He said he was bringing it to the owner. That is when Ariel said the thing that sealed everything. She said, "You are really going to bother Saul Kessler over a warehouse girl who can't keep her counts straight." Wick told her the warehouse girl's counts were fine. Then he told her something she didn't know. He said April's real name is April Kessler. She is Saul's daughter. She asked to come in under a different name so she could learn the job without special treatment. She has been here 3 months and hasn't asked for a single thing she didn't earn. Ariel didn't say a word. Wick told her she was being placed on formal review and the decision about her future would come from above. My dad called me that night. He had spoken with Wick, asked what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted her to keep her job. He went quiet on the other end of the line. I could hear him breathing, waiting for me to explain. I said she needed consequences, but also a real chance to change. Put her on review, move her shift, make her report directly to someone who will watch her work. But don't fire her. He asked if I was sure. I was. Part of me wanted her gone for what she put me through. But I asked for fairness when I started this whole thing. I needed to give her the same thing. He said he would talk to Wick and HR in the morning. Told me he was proud of how I handled it. I walked into the warehouse the next morning and everything felt different. The loading dock crew stopped talking when I came through the door. One guy nodded at me but didn't say anything. Another turned back to his clipboard like I was not there. I clocked in and headed to my station. Hal was already there checking inventory logs. He looked up and gave me the same straightforward nod he always did. No difference in his face or his tone when he told me we had 3 rush orders to process before noon. I appreciated that more than he probably knew. But I caught other crew members watching me as I moved through the aisles. Quick glances that looked away when I turned my head. Whispers that stopped when I got close. My experiment in being anonymous was over. Around 10 that morning, Ariel came back from the main office. I saw her walk through the warehouse entrance looking smaller than I had ever seen her. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking when she signed in at the supervisor station. Wick came out behind her and called Hal over. They talked for a few minutes while Ariel stood there staring at the floor. Then Wick left and Hal walked Ariel to the operations desk. He told the morning coordinator that Ariel was switching to second shift starting tomorrow. She would report directly to Wick with monthly reviews. The coordinator nodded and went back to her computer. Ariel stood there for another minute before she gathered her things from her desk. She looked up once and saw saw me watching from across the warehouse floor. I couldn't read her face. Relief, maybe. Or shame, maybe both. She left without saying anything to anyone. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. Some crew started calling me Miss Kessler even though I told them 3 times to just use April. Others got weird and formal, asking permission before they moved pallets or checked inventory counts. A couple guys seemed like they were testing me. One asked if I could help him move a shipment that was not my responsibility. Another made a comment about how nice it must be to have connections. I helped move the shipment without saying anything, ignored the comment. I had to prove all over again that I was still the same person who had been working beside them for 3 months. It was exhausting. I had earned their respect once. Now I had to earn it again under completely different conditions. Saul asked me to start splitting time between procurement and the warehouse. Mornings learning how the office side worked, afternoons still on the floor. My warehouse background gave me an edge the procurement team didn't expect. When a supplier claimed they had sent a full shipment of copper fittings but the warehouse count was short, I pulled up the receiving logs and found the discrepancy in pallet weights. The supplier admitted the error and sent the missing product. The procurement manager told me I had good instincts. It felt like I had earned something real. Then the supplier crisis hit. Our main PVC pipe vendor called and said they had production delays. 3 major client orders were affected, and we didn't have enough inventory to fulfill them. I remembered a conversation I had in the warehouse 2 weeks earlier. One of the crew had mentioned a smaller regional supplier who had been trying to get our business. I pulled up the contact information and called them. They had the inventory we needed and could deliver within 48 hours. I brought it to the procurement manager. She made the call and secured the order. Then I went down to the warehouse and found Hal. Told him we were getting mixed vendor inventory and needed to reorganize the staging area to keep everything separate. He gathered the crew and we spent the rest of the day rearranging pallets and updating the system. All 3 client orders went out on time. It was during a company walkthrough the following week that everything came together. Sol was visiting the flagship location to review operations with Wick. I didn't know he was coming. I was on the warehouse floor checking inventory when I heard the main door open and looked up to see my dad walking through in his jacket and tie. He spotted me between the shelving rows and walked straight over. The crew was watching. Ariel was at the operations desk 15 feet away. Sol reached me and put his hand on the side of my head and kissed me on the forehead right there in front of everyone. Said out loud that he was proud of the woman I was becoming. Then he turned to Wick and asked about the quarterly numbers like nothing had happened. I stood there with my face burning and my chest full of something I couldn't name. I looked over and saw Ariel staring at us. Her expression was something between shock and understanding. Like she was seeing for the first time exactly who she had been trying to destroy. Not the boss's spoiled kid playing warehouse. A daughter who had earned her father's pride the hard way. Ariel and I were never going to be friends. Too much had happened for that. But weeks later, she caught me in the hallway after a meeting and thanked me for giving her the chance to stay. Said she had been taking online courses in operations management, wanted to actually be good at the job instead of just protecting her position, asked if I had any advice about moving forward in her career. I told her the same thing Hal had told me. Show up, pay attention, ask the right questions, earn it through effort. She wrote that down in her phone like it was important. We talked for another few minutes about different aspects of operations work. The conversation felt normal, professional, like 2 coworkers discussing their jobs instead of 2 people with a complicated history. Looking back, the victory was never about Ariel's face in that moment. It was proving to myself that I could handle the work, make tough choices about people's futures, and build something genuine in my father's company that was entirely my own. I had chosen to give her a real chance instead of getting revenge, and she had chosen to take that chance seriously. That felt like the right outcome even if it was not the satisfying one. I asked to start at the bottom because I wanted to earn whatever I got, and I did.